CJ Flyer back with another YouTube video. Today talking about a trade that happened well over a year ago now. I made a video on this trade. You see it on the screen right now. The Hawks traded Dejounte Murray to the Pelicans. And at the time, I was very critical of the Atlanta Hawks. I said that I felt that the grade of the trade was a D and that they made a huge mistake. Not a mistake of trading away Dejounte Murray, but that the return they got was way lower than what they could have gotten. And since then, I've had a couple of comments asking me to go back and look at this trade again and share my thoughts now compared to the thoughts that I had when the trade first happened. And I'm not afraid to come on here and say that I was completely wrong. My judgment was very poor on this trade, and I was incorrect. This actually ended up being a great trade for the Atlanta Hawks, and we're going to go ahead and break it down. So, one of the reasons I'm talking about it today in particular is because of a recent rookie contract extension. Dyson Daniels, of course, being the player in question here. He was one of the players that was acquired by the Atlanta Hawks in that Dejounte Murray trade. And he just signed an extension for $100 million over 4 years. Now, looking at this number, of course, coming from the perspective of just a regular citizen of this country, I just, looking at that number, that's a huge dollar amount. I'm still having a hard time being able to fathom like how much money players make, just role players or starter level players, not even talking about the stars like Luka Doncic or Giannis or Shea or what have you, but just starters and role players in the NBA. The dollar amount on these contracts just keeps climbing higher and higher. And, sometimes it's a little bit hard to keep up with what's considered a good value contract and what is not a good value, what is an overpay. But I think a good comparison would be to look at another rookie contract extension that also happened yesterday, and that would be with Christian Braun of the Denver Nuggets. So Christian Braun, not a bad player by any means. He's definitely a solid piece for that Denver Nuggets team. However, when I think about the Denver Nuggets and I think about the best players on that team, I'm thinking Jokic number 1, Murray number 2, formerly Michael Porter Jr. number 3, but he got traded away to the Nets in exchange for Cam Johnson. So now I would say Aaron Gordon and Cam Johnson are 3 and 4 in no particular order, and that would leave Christian Braun as the 5th best player on a Denver Nuggets team. And he's getting paid approximately $25 million per year for the next 5 years. So when you put that into perspective, that a 5th best player on a team is getting $25 million per year, and then you look at this Dyson Daniels contract extension and think about it in those terms. And right now, I don't know. I think he's better than the 5th best player on the team. I mean, he was second, runner-up for Defensive Player of the Year last year. He was the most improved player, all defensive player for the NBA. He averaged 3 steals per game. I mean, who does that? I mean, as it says right here, as Sham said, 229 steals last season, most in a season by any player since Gary Payton in 1996, about 30 years ago. Insane. That's an insane stat. And especially in today's NBA. I mean, where offense is heavily favored over defense, and the way the game is officiated and the way the game is played and the floor is spaced. I mean, that's an incredible stat right there. Kudos to Dyson Daniels. I underestimated the value he was going to be bringing when you look at that Dejounte Murray trade. And something else we got to talk about here. Not only was I critical for the return of Dejounte Murray in that trade, not just because of the fact that it's like, well, I see Dejounte Murray is a great scorer, and you should be able to get a scoring talent or at least some good draft picks in return. But if we look at what the Hawks originally gave up for Dejounte Murray at the time that this trade had occurred last year, it's like, well, they gave up 4 picks, well, technically 3 picks and a pick swap. And, at the time, last year, I was like, well, look, it's like they're just trying to save face, right? They gave up all these picks for Dejounte Murray. The experiment didn't work out, and then they're just trying to get what they could for Dejounte Murray, trading him away. But in reality, I went back and looked at the 2023 and 2025 picks have already happened at this point now. Obviously, we still don't know what's going to happen with the 26 pick swap or the 2027 first round pick. But just looking at what has already happened, that 2023 first round pick never conveyed. It was lottery protected, and it ended up converting into 2 second round picks for the Spurs, which, there's been some great NBA players that were second round picks, but it's not very often that you see that. The odds are low, and so there's a good chance those second round picks don't really turn into anything at all. And then that 2025 first round pick ended up being Carter Bryant, a lottery pick in this year's draft, not the Dylan Harper pick. So the Spurs did have, I believe it was 3 first round picks in the draft this year. And, I don't know a lot about Carter Bryant. He's from Arizona. He's, I believe he's 19 years old, so he only played his freshman season there. He's 6'8". I thought he was listed at 6'6". Anyways, 6'8" according to Basketball Reference here. Forward position. And looking at his stats at Arizona, I know the college stats don't always translate very well. Not always. They really don't translate very well to the NBA when you take into account, roles on the team and minutes. Like the college game is structured differently than the pros, and then the way the college game is coached and all that. But just looking at the stats here, I'm not super, most of the time I feel like when you're looking at a guy that played in college and then going into the NBA, oftentimes they might not average more points per game in college than the pros. Maybe I need to back check that one, but I'm just not wowed by his stats, right? 6 points per game, 4 rebounds per game, 1 assist per game at Arizona. I'm not wowed about that. Now, that being said, I'm sure he's not being drafted as a scorer. The Spurs, they already have Wembanyama, they got De'Aaron Fox, they got Dylan Harper, they got plenty of other guys that could score in that team. So I'm assuming they're not picking up Carter Bryant for a scoring role. So you look at that, and it's probably not that big of a deal. I haven't seen any highlights of the guy, so I can't really speak, highly or not highly. It's just the fact that as a I guess you could say a casual in this case, as a casual observer, I've never heard of Carter Bryant before looking up his name. Let's just put it that way. I didn't really hear about him a whole lot last year during the college season. So that being said, I guess the point I'm trying to make here is this is what the Hawks gave up to get Dejounte Murray, and these 2 first-round picks, one didn't even end up, conveying, ends up converting to a couple second-round picks. The 2025 first-round pick is yet to be seen, but it doesn't seem like it's for a star player. And then we don't know what's going to happen yet with the 26 pick swap and the 27 first-round pick. That's TBD. And then you look at the flip side, and they end up trading Dejounte Murray to the Pelicans for Larry Nance Jr., which, nice role player and all, I suppose, but I don't think it's really like a difference maker per se. But then Dyson Daniels ends up being the big piece of this trade. And currently, given Dejounte Murray's health status, Dyson Daniels is the better player by far in the current moment. Well, yeah, again, yet to be determined. We'll look 2 to 3 years ahead. Maybe things change again. Maybe it flips around and Dejounte Murray has an elevated status as a player. Who knows? I didn't check to see what ended up happening with this 2025 first-round pick. I'm not going to for this video. I think this all speaks for itself, just the fact that Dyson Daniels is here. I was wrong about the trade. I underestimated the value that Dyson Daniels would bring to the Atlanta Hawks. And the Atlanta Hawks clearly did not make a mistake in this trade. This ended up being a great turnaround for them, I would say, as far as what they got in return for Dejounte Murray. And going into this season, obviously the season starts today. I'm recording this around 6 p.m. Central on Tuesday, October 21st. And the East is weak, as they have been in recent years. Are the Hawks contenders? No, not really. But could they make the playoffs? Possibly, yes. They're kind of taking it's like a buy low situation on Porzingis. They traded away, they traded away Niang to get him. So originally they traded DeAndre Hunter away to get Niang from Cleveland. Now they traded away Niang to get Porzingis to the Hawks. And Porzingis was not playing a whole lot in the playoffs last year for the Celtics because of the health status, that weird injury, but the illness he was having that doctors really couldn't figure out. Not sure what's going on with that. Is he still playing? Is he not playing? I don't know. I think he played in Eurobasket this summer, so clearly he's still able to play. So it's kind of like a buy low situation for the Hawks, the way I see it. They obviously got the young forwards and Ricochet and Jalen Johnson. And then they got Trae Young still. Do they trade him away? Do they keep him? Yet to be determined. And then, of course, they got Dyson Daniels there too. So all in all, I mean, the team's looking at least decent. You know, they could be a low-seeded playoff team. But anyways, that's my thoughts, my updated thoughts on this trade. I would reverse this instead of being a D grade. Again, it's still a lot to be determined, but man, with the way Dejounte Murray's health has been with his injuries, I mean, this is, you kind of have to look at this and say it's like an A+ trade at this point. I mean, it's a great trade for the Hawks. I was wrong, and there you go. That being said, this is the first video I've made in a few months. After that Luka trade happened, I had made a few videos, and I was kind of trying to force myself to keep talking about stuff, but I couldn't get, it was just hard to deal with for me. So I'll be talking about it more in future videos, but I am going to start making more content on this channel again, and I've got some plans. I've got some plans for some videos. I'm curious to see what you guys think about it. But yeah, stay tuned. We got some more NBA discussion coming up. And click one of the videos on your screen now for some more NBA discussion.